Vegemite. I've never smelled it or tasted it in my life.
I mean, I grew up eating this stuff.
Hold on, I have a knife crotch. Is it made out of vegetables?
Yeast, I think. So it's like beer, whatever's left over from the brewing process.
All right. This is a spread for bread and stuff?
Yeah.
It tastes like it should go in a soup. It tastes like bouillon.
You're mixing it with stuff, usually.
All right, I'm gonna spread it on bread.
Bread with cheese, or just like
Too
that.
thin?
No, it's pretty good.
Do you guys not know about jelly, peanut butter, Nutella, things like that?
It's too sweet.
It's very confusing.
This is like a savory breakfast.
Savory breakfast.
Nutritious.
I don't understand.
How do you define Australian cuisine? With influences from indigenous traditions, European colonizers, and Asian immigrants, the answer is not so straightforward.
When it comes to cuisine, I mean, Australia's known for, hold on, what are you guys known for?
Yeah, the fat white.
What's that?
It's like an Australian coffee.
Oh.
It's like a latte that we rebranded.
You put milk in it?
We put more milk in it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So I would rather ask, what sets this place apart from anywhere else on Earth? Australia, one of the world's largest continents, sprawls over 3 million square miles with a population of about 25 million. Due to millions of years of geographical isolation, this country has some of the most unique wildlife in the world.
One of the biggest goannas I've seen.
These animals don't just add to the landscape. They're hunted, caught, or gathered, serving as ingredients to a distinct food culture.
This is something that you can't try anywhere else. I mean, you had to be either here or pretty darn close to here to be able to experience this.
That's why, on this one-of-a-kind food tour, we're skipping the bistros, diners, and restaurants. Instead, we're exploring Australian food.
Get off the road!
Through its wildlife. Like the kangaroo, native to Australia and outnumbering the human population.
There are 3 times the population of kangaroo to humans in Australia.
Wait, wait!
Here in Western Australia, they're hunted by night, then cooked up and eaten by day.
Medium rare, so you need to cook it.
It looks good? Is this how it's supposed to look?
Yep.
There's the emu, an icon of this country and the world's second largest bird.
Their ears are wild. It's just big holes in the back of their head. It's like the first edition of ears.
Prized for its fat and loved for its deep, dark red meat.
This organ right here is the emu's gizzard.
Wow.
Let's have this for breakfast.
If you prefer something more exotic,
Possum, Sonny.
try hunting down some tree-dwelling possums.
We do it.
These mid-sized marsupials can be braised down into a shockingly delicious dish.
There's 5 million possums in Tasmania.
I mean, what would happen if you didn't hunt them at all?
There'd be a lot more.
Once you hit the coast, you'll find some of the world's most diverse underwater ecosystems, where you can pluck out giant black-lipped abalone.
Dude, that is a huge ass abalone.
Or, if you're really good, you can get your hands on a massive red rock lobster.
Holy shit! This is the heaviest seafood I think I've ever held in my life.
However, amid Australia's bountiful wildlife, some hunting traditions are not easy to swallow.
Oh, left, yards left.
Here, some local communities are given exclusive rights
He's there.
to hunt green sea turtles.
Got him.
A ritual culminating in an unforgettable beachside barbecue.
What is this green part?
That's fat.
Oh, dude, what? That's fat?
Yeah.
This is Aboriginal food, and any discussion of Australian food would be incomplete without acknowledging this land's first inhabitants.
What up?
Even thousands of years ago, these guardians survived and thrived on the bounty this land provided.
Dude, this is terrifying. Bro.
How the hell did you see this, Elijah?
Now, Aboriginal descendants still cook fare like stingrays, iguanas, or kangaroos, just as they did thousands of years ago.
Oh, wow. You just go right into the thigh.
Dude, that is way more juicy than I thought looking at the outside.
Yes. Andrew,
Sonny.
good day. Good day.
Joining me on this far-out outback adventure, my buddy, Andrew Fraser. We've shared extreme eats in Northwest Vietnam
Let's enjoy.
Let's go.
Cheers.
and traversed the Mongolian steppe, living as the nomads do.
Even my legs are starting to cramp. This is tough work, man.
This time, Andrew will rediscover his homeland with a fresh perspective.
Oh, that is like pure white meat.
Oh, dude. This is completely alien to me, man.
Together, we're on a mission to unearth the wildest,
Whoa, it looks so cool.
most unique food stories of this vast land.
It's kind of like a sausage, but you know, circular.
Oh, like a pie or something.
It's like a pie to me.
Yeah.
Oh, the Australians are ganging up on me.
But it's not just about the animal protein. It's the people and the history that bring each dish to life. If you're wondering how to define Australian food, well, you're about to find out now. First, I'm on a mission to learn more about ancient Aboriginal cooking. It all starts with a welcome meal, but considering we're doing this entire Australian food series without going to a single restaurant, our protein must be obtained the old-fashioned way.
One of the biggest goaners I've seen.
Meet Elijah, Aboriginal Australian,
Just looking around for a feed.
experienced in taking down wildlife and turning it into food.
We was just looking for a bush turkey, but we couldn't find one, and we just pulled in over there and seen this fella walking. So we got him instead. This is a goanner.
This here is a yellow-spotted monitor lizard, a ground dweller with a sleek, scaly body. They're an Aboriginal favorite, cooked up now as they would have been generations ago. No seasonings, no herbs, no marination. Here, it's all about the perfect and precise application of heat.
Man, well done with the hunt. Very humble. Elijah, what are you doing right now?
Just burning the top layer skin off so it cooks properly in the ground.
What is it you like about this meat?
Probably the best meat you could ever have.
Better than kangaroo?
Better than a kangaroo.
All right, I can't wait. It's gonna be one hell of a lunch. Sweet.
A ground oven is constructed by digging a hole, spreading some hot cinders, placing the animal on top, then burying it right under the dirt. Add another layer of hot coals on top, then let the earth do its magic. The aroma wafting from the locally termed goanna is a surefire indication of its readiness. Once cooked, the goanna is laid on a bed of wattle leaves to cool down while any dirt is wiped away.
I like there's like 2 Allen keys right here, holding the legs back.
That's what you call innovation.
Joining our meal, Clint and Jaden, both with Aboriginal roots. While we're here in Western Australia, Clint will be guiding us through a myriad of off-the-beaten-track food experiences.
Usually when I see these, I recognize them as iguanas, but here, they're called something different.
We call them goanna. When Aboriginal people first learnt the word iguana, we just discarded the I and just turned it into iguana.
Iguana.
Yeah.
Now we'll cut the backbone.
Ooh, it's definitely squishy.
It looks like pork belly or something. I thought it would be dry, but it is fatty.
There's kind of like a residual soup inside, made from all the meat and whatever organs remain. Are there organs in there?
Yep.
Oh yeah, is that the liver?
Liver and lungs, and that's the fat.
Oh yeah. You're ripping the tail off now.
Yep.
Oh, that is like really pure white meat.
Oh, dude.
Oh, take a look. Oh, it looks like chicken breast, but even more white. And do you eat the skin at all?
No, the skin is really tough.
Too tough, right?
Yeah. Put some on your damper and eat them together.
The damper is an incredibly dense staple made popular by colonial ranchers looking for a quick way to make bread. All it takes is flour, self-rising flour, and water. Shape it into a round loaf and toss it over hot coals.
You know, I've seen bread charcoal cooking before in India. Actually, they'll take cow dung, dry cow dung. Oh, it has no smell. I think after it cools down a little bit, they're gonna throw it on there, cover it up, and then it'll cook all the way through. I see you got plenty of dung around here.
Yeah.
How about burning that?
Nah, mate.
No?
Only to keep away the bugs.
All right, should we try it out? Cheers.
Cheers.
A little fishy. The fat has a little bit of a fishiness to it. It's like chickeny, but more succulent.
It's kind of like got a barbecue flavor.
Like a little smoky?
Yeah, a little bit smoky.
The bread, it's to die for. Who hunted this bread?
You can see why there's so much hype about this, you know, you can feel it from these guys, that it was going to be really good. They really had a lot of faith in it.
Well, and you can't just roll into a restaurant and order this. It takes work, it takes luck. So when you eat this kind of meal, it's earned. Thanks, Elijah.
Thanks, Elijah.
Where'd Elijah go?
Right now we're in Sherlock, a small rural outpost just outside of the not-so-bustling city of Karratha.
This is our traditional land. Our family have lived here for up to or over 60,000 years. And this type of food, you know, is what sustained our people. And it's great that even though we're living in a modern day and we can go to the supermarket and buy meat and vegetables and stuff, that we still have the ability to go out on country and hunt like our ancestors did, except, you know, we do it a bit more easier with, you know, rifles and stuff these days. But the technique that we cook it in and all that is still the same.
The Aboriginal people are the original inhabitants of this land, with a history dating back thousands of years. The arrival of British settlers in the 18th century had a profound and devastating effect on the Aboriginal communities. This group that once represented 100% of the island's population now only accounts for 3.3%. Today, many still reside in rural areas and towns where they can maintain their traditions.
I've seen plenty of goannas, but there's no way I could ever hunt one myself. It's completely illegal.
Oh.
As wild game like goanna or kangaroo have been part of the Aboriginal diet for thousands of years, their hunting practices are recognized and allowed by Australian authorities.
Only Indigenous Australians are allowed to hunt certain animals, but when you're in our presence, you're allowed to be a part of that.
As night falls, the seemingly limitless horizon is cloaked in dark. While Jaden navigates us deeper into the countryside, Elijah and I have been given the crucial task of spotting our prey.
So I have a flashlight. So am I looking for a kangaroo or just like the reflection of the eyes?
You'll see the whole body shining. Once he turns his head to you, his eyes will be shining at you.
And it's not just gonna jump away?
Depends on how much noise you make approaching it.
Do you usually hunt in this vehicle?
Any car.
Any car is fine.
Yeah.
Tesla?
No.
Well, maybe next time.
Yeah.
Elon Musk would love that.
As we're going along, if you see a kangaroo with a joey, let it be, because that's a mother, you know?
Oh, you try not to shoot any females?
Yeah.
But how can you tell at night when they're so far away?
Because they got a pouch, you'll see the pouch.
Is it illegal to hunt the females?
Not really. We just don't hunt it because so we can breed more, you know?
We want more kangaroo meat for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh, there on the road.
On the road?
On the road. Be quiet, be quiet. Don't make a big noise, be quiet.
As we approach the kangaroo, Jaden turns off the car engine to avoid spooking the animal.
Right there, right there, right there.
Pull up, come on. Ooh. He's going. Ah, bloody hell, Mr. Big Kangaroo over there now.
What happened?
He got spooked. Too much noise.
If they're moving at that pace, can you still hit them? Do you have any chance?
Nah, that's why we whistle at them, so get their attention, they'll stop.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you prefer the bigger ones or smaller ones?
The smaller ones. I find the meat is more softer.
That one looked big and ripped. It was like the rock of kangaroos.
Wait, pull up. Hey. No bullet in there. Come on.
Is it gone?
No.
You got him, right?
Yep.
Wow, dude. Oh my gosh.
Got him right in the heart, mate.
Oh, right in the heart. Just dead on impact.
Nice and fresh. Didn't destroy the stomach. It's a nice male. That's the one you want to hunt.
Holy cow.
The red kangaroo, also known as the plain kangaroo, is the largest marsupial in the world.
It's wild to see something like this because it's a beautiful animal and they've got like an amazing looking body, these big ears like a dog, gigantic thick Achilles, big old paws, giant feet, then this strong powerful tail to balance with. How old do you think this one is?
4 years old.
Great shot, by the way.
Thanks,
Very
man.
patient because it was about to escape behind a bush and you just like waited till you got the perfect shot and went for it. Well done. And so before rifles, before flashlights, before trucks, 1,000 years ago, how would your ancestors get the kangaroos?
They will build a wall and they'll use the wind. When the wind blows, they'll stand behind the wall. So they stop the kangaroo, then they'll spear if they drink in the water.
So they have to build a wall next to water.
Yeah. Otherwise, they'll just use the wind. The wind blowing that way, they'll come
The opposite direction.
opposite direction, yep.
And spirit.
And spirit.
That's so much work. All right, let's take it back. Well done, man.
It's the next day and excitement is in the air. A group of skilled hands are hard at work, digging a hole, setting fire to wood, and heating stones to prepare for our feast. Our cooking grounds lie in a secluded ancient river basin, far from civilization. As Clint and I make our way there with the kangaroo in tow, we stumble upon an unexpected surprise.
This is wild. We were just going down the highway and then out of nowhere, the car in front of us hit a kangaroo and it lies right here, right now. It died instantly.
Yeah.
How often do you see that happen?
It's actually a common occurrence, especially around the towns where there's a lot of traffic.
Is this kangaroo different from the one yesterday?
Yeah, so it's a different species. This one is called Euro, also known as a wallaroo. It's more a hill-dwelling kangaroo compared to the other one, which lives in the plain.
It's between a wallaby and a kangaroo?
Yeah.
Wallaroo.
Yeah.
Meet the wallaroo, a distant cousin of the legendary red kangaroo and a true Aussie battler. Shorter, stockier, they're perfect for a high-stakes cuddle or, in this case, serving up to a hungry crowd.
We don't want to waste the animal, especially if it just died. So a lot of the time my people will pick it up and we'll take it and we'll cook it.
So we've just arrived to the cooking grounds, and at this point we have 2 kangaroos, so we're gonna cook them both. Fortunately, we have basically Clint's entire extended family here helping. About 10 people work to cook it together. Right now, they're lighting a big fire, so they have a big pile of embers, and then all of that is gonna cook underground. But we also have some special side dishes cooked up by Clint's mother. Wait till you see this.
Like many cultures in history, the cooking style of the Aboriginal people reflects their nomadic lifestyle. The process must be quick, efficient, it can't require complex tools, yet the final product has to be palatable in the end. An incision is made in the stomach where the organs are removed. The organs will not be buried, but they will be used shortly. Now, the hot stones. As many as possible are placed inside the body. Once complete, it's stitched up, the kangaroo tails are severed, then bound tightly. Now it's time for the roos to descend into their final resting place. Here, men who have done this many times before find the delicate balance between hot sand, cinders, and more sand, ensuring the heat is well distributed. In just 2 hours, both kangaroos should cook all the way through. I'm counting on our expert cooks to ensure neither of these animals died in vain, but still, fingers crossed. In the meantime, Jaden makes quick use of the recently removed liver.
So right here we have the kangaroo liver. Is that a heart too?
Yep.
Very nice. And you just throw it over the charcoal and it's ready to eat?
Ready to eat.
But do you ever eat it raw?
Yep, it's half raw now.
Oh, fantastic. Should we go heart first? I like the heart.
Which kangaroo is this?
This is from the plain kangaroo.
Oh, I like it. It's got a little dirt on there for texture. A little bit of salt ears. Cheers.
Cheers.
A little bit of sand. Careful for that. Although it will polish your teeth.
It's a pretty neutral flavor. I was expecting really gamey.
It almost has a certain sourness to it. I've never had a heart this rare before. It's so soft. Should we try some liver?
Yep.
Oh, wow. This is looking more gnarly. Cheers. Crunchy sand, soft, half cooked. You can feel the tissues themselves kind of ripping apart as you run your teeth through them.
Kind of buttery, like a really smooth texture other than the sand.
It just melts in the mouth.
I'm usually a heart guy. That liver is actually better than the heart. That's blowing my mind.
The liver isn't the only treasured organ. Right now, Clint's mother, Gloria, is preparing a traditional offal entree using the kangaroo stomach. She chops kidneys, spleen, and liver into chunks. Add some kangaroo
The
backstraps.
backbone meat is normally tender.
Mix well with diced onions, potatoes, garlic powder, salt, pepper, and oil. Now, all that must be transferred to the stomach.
Make sure the first lot go right down to fill the bottom up. So you get the end of the skin goes around the bottom, then you stuff the stomach back into itself, so it stops it from spilling out.
She then secures it shut with a stick and grills it on cinders to harden and secure the stomach's shape. Wrap it in tin foil and place it inside an impromptu oven with heat hitting it from below and above.
I noticed that the kangaroo has to be prepared the same way every time underground, but with the organs, there's more flexibility, right?
Yes.
And so if you're not cooking the organs inside the stomach, what are you doing with them?
We can put them in stews, fry them, and just make a damper and eat it like that.
Sounds good. This is the biggest damper I've ever seen. I've only seen 2 though. Slicing it down the middle, and there's just like big, beautiful, coarse pieces of everything all mixed together. What's awesome about stomach cooking is it, when it gets hot, it constricts and it squeezes everything together like a sausage.
It's more like a pie or something.
Do you think it's more like a pie or like a round sausage?
It's like a pie to me.
The Australians are ganging up on me. Do you put that on top of the bread?
Yes, we do.
Oh, there we go. Let's try it out. Oh, that's delicious. The meat is like beautifully steamed in there. I love the way it's cooked from all sides. Usually when I see people, you know, doing outdoor cooking, they might just put the heat underneath, but they've got heat above, they got heat below, and it creates kind of like a steam convection oven inside.
This is a heavy meal. The damp is so thick. I don't think you could eat a couple more slices of this. It's just such dense bread and then rich, strong meat.
So I got some of the skin of the stomach. Oh, that's rubbery.
We like chewy.
Yeah, it's a big mix of textures. Where'd you learn this recipe from?
From my mum. Been handed down to her from her mum.
From the time that you were a child until now, are people eating less game meats? Are you eating less game meats?
No, I love my game meat. Most of my people, we still eat our game meat. My grandmother, before she died, she used to always crave a bush tucker. Always want a kangaroo. So we'd have to go out hunting and specifically get a kangaroo.
Wow, that's amazing.
I do love that that's still such a core thing, you know?
It's not like ordering a pizza.
No.
No.
It takes a bit more investment than that.
Yeah, a lot of work, a lot of effort, but once you've cooked it and you do it right, the meal, as you can see, is quite delicious.
After 2 hours of steadily building anticipation, the time has come to unearth the kangaroos. The cooked marsupials are placed over a thicket of wattle leaves. The question on everyone's mind, did we succeed or did we fail? There's only one way to find out.
It looks good? Is this how it's supposed to look?
Yep.
They look like, what's that volcano that erupted and everyone was like, no, and then they were frozen forever and they got put in a museum?
Pompeii.
Yeah, they look like that. And the smell coming off here, it is like a thick, gamey steam. It's also like a mix of burnt flesh and burnt hair and cooked meat. It would make the worst Yankee candle ever. Do you know Yankee candles?
No.
No, okay. Sorry, my bad. We have 2 kangaroos here. Which one is the one that was shot yesterday?
This one.
This is a plain kangaroo. Oh, wow. He's just going right into basically the thigh.
Oh, dude, that is way more juicy than I thought looking at the outside.
Yes. Whoa, that looks incredible.
Right.
The musculature looks like no other animal I've seen before. It's just going in every other direction. You can see the striations of the meat. Is this well done?
Medium rare, that's how you need to cook it.
Oh, that is hot, hot, hot.
And it looks quite chewy and super lean. Let's try it out.
Dude, how is that so tender for something that's so lean? You just bite straight through that. I thought that was gonna be one of the chewier meats. It's the leg of the freaking animal that jumps.
It's somehow gushy, but there's no discernible fat located in here at all. I think venison is probably the most accurate, close comparison in that it has that kind of wild flavor.
This is one of the least gamey game meats you could get.
I totally agree.
The meat is chopped into chunks and shared with everyone, from succulent leg meat, juicy loin cuts, tender ribs, and flavorful shoulder pieces.
Oops. Good catch.
You know what I'm saying?
Saved.
This is from the kangaroo that was struck by a vehicle. Definitely tougher and a little bit more gamey. A tinge of a sheep flavor. Every new creature brings with it a new experience. Sometimes you can compare it to a different animal, sometimes you can't. And this, I didn't know what to expect either, but the way it's cooked and the fact that it just came off the fire, they're both still very palatable.
For sure.
Each cut has its own unique texture and taste, but there's one part everyone clamors for, the kangaroo tail. And I'm about to find out why.
Gloria?
Yes.
Do you have any room left in your tummy?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you don't think so? All right, well, me and Andrew can take over then. We've got some tail right here.
It's not the most alien chunk of meat you've ever seen.
It's hair, there's skin, there's fat, there's a bone in the middle, like we're eating oxtail soup.
What you do is you just peel the skin off and then you take a bite from the meatiest part of the flesh.
Do you like this part, the fat?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is so good.
It's real tender.
The fat just melts, man. It's like it's covered in butter.
This is a world of food I knew nothing about. I knew that the folks that ate kangaroo in Australia, I assumed they would like grind the meat up and maybe put it into a hamburger or something like that. But keeping the tails, serving them whole is not what I expected.
It's kind of surreal because I'd eaten kangaroo before from the supermarket, but I've never tasted anything like this tail, that's for sure. You know, you could serve that in any restaurant.
This day's been fascinating, being able to talk to you about food, but also about your culture and where you come from in all of Australia. How many different indigenous groups are there?
Aboriginals are not one people. Before Europeans arrived, it's believed there were over 500 different Aboriginal clans. Even today,
there's over 350 across the whole continent, and Western Australia has over 124.
Clint's family and his greater community are a cross of the Ngarluma and Yinji-Barndi people, known for their history of hunting and distinct art forms, like rock paintings.
What do you think makes the food of your people so unique?
It's the most Australian food you can possibly get. It's actually from the continent of Australia. You won't find it anywhere else on the planet.
How has life changed for the Aboriginal community here from the time you were a child until now?
When I was a child, we used to go out all the time, out bush. But nowadays, it's different. It's the drugs, the alcohol affecting most of our people. And, you know, the diets, sodas, cool drinks, sweet stuff. That's why most of us don't live up to a certain age. They get diabetes and heart attacks and stuff like that.
And the biggest part is because of the convenience, you know, we can drive in a motor car, we can shop at the shop, we can get takeout and all that sort of stuff. So for us in this area, we try to balance out our diet with our traditional diet as well as what we're eating in this modern setting, you know, so at least we're getting some of this to even it out a bit.
Gloria, if you were the president of Karatha, what could be done differently to help stop this issue of these addictions that people are facing? Is there any solution for that?
I guess there's no solution, but there could be prevention. I would introduce daily trips out bush. Instead of young fellows or whoever, indigenous people going to prison, they get rehabilitated out in the land and they'll be able to learn how to hunt rather than sending them to rehab.
Focusing on rehabilitation instead of just punishment.
Yes, that's exactly right.
That's beautiful. Thank you also, Gloria, for joining us
today.
Thank
you.
It was a pleasure speaking with you. And tomorrow, we got a lot more in store.
Now, we're leaving land and heading to water. Australia's coastline and pristine waters are teeming with edible marine animals of all kinds.
We come out here to get mud crabs, shellfish, and whatever else we want.
In the past, Aboriginals used a variety of methods to catch, trap, and collect this succulent seafood. Today, Andrew and I are joining forces with a local team to hunt and cook up seafood the Aboriginal way.
Oh, it puked out green stuff on me.
From dangerous marine life that can leave you with a deadly sting.
Sometimes you'll see their barbs sticking out of the water.
What? To squishy creatures that don't look so satisfying.
Oh God, this one's vomiting. It must be motion sick.
It all starts here during low tide.
Elijah, put her there. Where have you brought us?
To Murrujuga. This area here is known as Watering Cove.
So it's low tide right now. When the tide is all the way up, how deep of water would I be in?
Would be underwater. All these rocks that you see in the back, even those ones up there, they're all covered in water.
Local fishermen have a golden opportunity at low tide to hunt for shallow water dwellers like bream, whiting, flathead fish, and queenfish, netting themselves a fortune or simply satisfying their appetites. But the best kept secret of Australian seafood is the stingray.
I'm a little bit worried about the stingray. What people might think is that it's the end of the tail that gets you, but no. 2/3 of the way up the tail, there's a barb that sticks up and it hits you with the barb, and the barb has a venom inside, right?
Yeah.
And the venom will, for lack of a better word, you up.
Right, that doesn't sound a lot of fun.
Have you ever been stung by a stingray?
No, I haven't, and I don't want to.
But what if it stings you? Does he have to pee on it as a prophylactic to be careful?
He can if he wants to.
Okay. If he gets stung, you're peeing on it. And if I get stung, you pee on me. And if you get stung, I pee on you.
The best tool to hunt this majestic marine life, a 3-barbed spear. Wearing highly protective aqua socks is a nice bonus.
Boom. All right, we are in the water. I see rippling mud. It's not that deep.
Dude, there's not much visibility at all.
Because there's no sun out, we can't see the bottom. I wouldn't hunt in this weather like this.
The Aboriginal Australians developed a dense playbook of fishing techniques and philosophies. Spearfishing is just one. Ware fishing, net fishing, and trap fishing are among others passed down over generations.
Oh, is that something? That's rocks.
Like many hunter-gatherer communities, Aboriginal Australians only take what they need, giving the environment time to replenish and thrive. But right now, we need help getting whatever we can.
Visibility is bad, and it's actually worse than it was even a few minutes ago.
How the hell did you see this, Elijah?
Look for the ripples on the top of the water. If not, you see black spots straight through the water. Sometimes you'll see their barbs sticking out of the water.
What?
How about I stab anything that moves?
I mean, you're probably gonna blunt your spear.
Too late. I was getting a little bit stabby.
If there's one thing that stays sharp after minutes of fruitless searching, it's Elijah's vision. Before we know it, he secured a stingray meal under his spear.
Well done, bro.
You were pretty pessimistic before.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This here is a mangrove whip ray, identified by its thick oval pectoral fin with numerous white flecks, a whip-like tail, and a frightening stinging spine.
The first move here is to remove that, right? But you keep the tail on, you just cut the barb off. Oh.
That is wild.
Yeah, it's like a shark tooth. Can this still hurt you?
Yeah, it can, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look that intimidating.
Well, just don't poke it into you. We don't have air evacuation with our insurance.
You brought me here without fucking insurance.
We have a guy with a motorbike, and he has a siren on his motorbike.
That's it? Why did I agree to this?
On the drive here, I was told there's some rock art of a stingray liver. Is that the best part of the stingray here?
It would be, yeah.
Can I tell you something? You know, I've had like the from intestines of cows, raw bile from buffalo. The worst food I've ever had in my life was the stingray liver. It's like all the worst flavors combined. Fishy, bile, it's like acid. I need but it was such a cherished food that people, maybe hundreds or even thousands of years ago, wanted to pay homage to it by painting it on the side of a rock. So we absolutely have to try this for historical reasons.
As eager as I am to taste this historical delicacy.
Oh my gosh.
One stingray does not make a meal. Plus, we barely revealed what this place has to offer. So before the tide rises, we're heading out for octopus.
What are we looking for, Elijah, to see these octopus?
Rock pools are an ideal habitat for octopus, as they provide shelter from the strong currents and a steady diet of invertebrates and small fish.
Hopefully they're walking around out of their hole. So you want to catch animals when they're hunting for food.
We have the best odds of catching the common Sydney octopus, but that's if we're lucky. Today, Our Lady Luck has granted us this.
Sea cucumber. The octopuses we're trying to hunt, they don't want to be caught at all.
It makes sense.
These guys don't give a shit. I figure we can all carry 8.
Nah, I don't want to touch it.
Why would you want to touch that?
I stepped on it before I felt it.
Well, just put it in your hand. You don't have to eat it.
Nah, I don't want to touch that.
I like it 'cause he's so much more badass than me. He's out here like shooting iguanas and spearing stingrays, but touching this,
can't handle it.
Too icky. So I think we get 10, 20 pounds of these and just head back and cut them up and see what's inside.
We don't eat that.
You don't eat this, why not?
Because we just don't.
Gosh dang it.
As disappointed as I am by our failed rock pool hunt,
all right, let me put him back. I think this one was here.
The tide is rising fast and we must move on. Our last hope lies within the mangroves. Australia flaunts the world's 3rd largest mangrove-studded coastline, spanning over 6,800 miles. These exact same mangroves were tread over by food-seeking aboriginals hundreds of years ago.
Along the way, I saw a lot of snails. Do you eat snails?
Yeah, most of the time you just chuck them straight on hot coals and then you pull the meat out with a stick.
Oh, that sounds good.
More than an endless pantry for the aboriginals, mangrove plants are used for medicines, while mangrove timber is perfect for constructing canoes, boomerangs, and other hunting tools.
What is the most prized creature that you could get from here?
Mud crab. Well, if you're gonna look in the pools, they'll be just walking around in the water. But if you're gonna go look around in the muds, they'll be somewhere in their burrows.
Right now, Elijah is on a quest for some vicious mud crabs, while Andrew and I...
Gathering. No violence. It's very peaceful, it's tranquil, it's calming, in fact. I ate these no less than 2 weeks ago in Vung Tau in Vietnam. I believe this is the baby version of this. And these are all alive. As you pick them up, they recede inside of their shell. And I can't wait to see how they're cooked up. Andrew,
yo,
we are hunting, yes?
I mean, they move, right?
I mean, how'd they get here?
They're big snails as well. That's more hunty.
It's like a mangrove buffet over here. And I like to feel like we all pitched in a way. I mean, if we're going by like quantity, I got the most of that. What do you call these?
Long bones.
That's like all shell. That doesn't count. How much meat do you reckon's in that?
Plenty of meat in there.
Heaps.
I don't know why he's helping you out.
Well, then you also got some mud crabs. It's kind of given up. And it also doesn't have claws. Did you catch this without claws or did you remove the claws?
Catch it with no claws. You can see the claws are starting to grow back on it.
Yeah, like a couple little nubs here. So from here, we have all of our food.
Time to cook it up and have a feed, yeah.
Have a feed, I like that. Like I'm a oxen. Mangrove Course 1. These look delightful.
They are, mate.
Joining us for our first taste of the mangrove, Clint, who we met last time as we dined on kangaroos cooked whole underground.
You know, the shooters know that we love tails so much. They just supply tails. We can buy like a box of 15 tails.
It's like chicken wings, but the indigenous version.
Clint operates an Aboriginal cultural tourism business that offers a glimpse into the traditions and history of his people.
Can you talk about the method of preparation? I'm so fascinated. You know, we saw how the iguana was cooked yesterday, how the kangaroo was cooked, and then now the seafood today, just put right on the charcoal.
What we do is we want to put it head side down onto the coals, and what that does, it allows the juices inside to sort of steam it on the inside and you get more flavour. Plus, we don't want the crab to run off the fire.
That's practical. How do you eat this?
What we'll do is we'll pull some of the legs off, crack them open, and yeah, get the meat out.
Ooh,
that looks great.
Oh yeah, it's sweet.
Pretty good considering there's nothing added to it.
Well, I think, you know, for crab, lobster, shrimp, you kind of can't go wrong with just steaming. That's essentially what this is, steaming it in its own body. So do you like the leg meat more or the body?
I like the leg meat, but the claw is the best part.
Oh, fire.
Uh-oh. It's been revealed we're on a set. So now he's breaking into the claw.
Nice, look at that.
Oh, it's delicious.
Dude, it's so sweet.
Yeah.
So sweet. Dude, I've always boiled crabs. I have no idea why I haven't just thrown them on the fire like this.
Yeah, it works surprisingly well.
I thought it would dry it out.
Or undercook it, because, you know, the body was on the cinders, but the legs were up here doing this.
Yeah.
But that's still good. I'm curious, looking at how you guys cooked yesterday, how you cook today, were seasonings ever part of traditional cooking for the Aboriginal folks here?
Indigenous Australians have used earth ovens, hot coals, and ashes for baking food since ancient times.
There is seasoning that we do use to complement some flavors, but most of the things that we eat, when it's cooked a particular way, it comes out really good. So you don't always need seasoning.
This Aboriginal cooking style also represents a strong bond with the land and a communal approach to sharing food. After all, food hoarders don't last long in a tribal setting.
We have a couple more things to try, including the stingray. Now the stingray, I wouldn't call it a seasoning, but you were saying that there's a body part that you use to flavor the meat.
So inside the stingray, we've got the liver.
The worst food I've ever had in my life was the stingray liver.
And the liver can be eaten raw.
Very soft and jiggly. Let's give me a trip.
Jaden, another Aboriginal friend of ours, is in charge of the stingray preparation. After removing the liver and setting it aside, he grills the whole stingray using this primitive cooking style. While the charcoal is still burning hot, Jaden grills up our collection of snails.
This pretty nice. I helped catch 9 of those snails.
Yeah, you can have 9.
First of all, how do you break it out of here?
So we're going to need a heavy duty knife to crack it open, and then we're going to extract it out of the shell.
Wow. Oof. The meat inside looks fascinating. It is green, like marine green. Slightly briny. I like it.
Snails aren't the most appetizing thing ever, but
maybe it has a good personality.
Pretty good though.
It's really good. Slightly dense, a little bit of grit for texture and fiber.
Like a crab.
Yeah, it has the sweetness of a crab and the feel of like a steamed piece of squid, like calamari.
If these things were in Vietnam, you know, they'd be hundreds of dollars a kilo.
So how often are you eating snails then?
Probably like once every couple of months. Usually when we're going hunting for the bigger stuff like mud crabs, stingrays and stuff, we'll cook the snails up first, sort of like breakfast, and then go hunting.
Does it give you any health benefits?
Yeah, it's full of protein, so it should be good for you.
I thought he was going to say aphrodisiac.
Only if we're in Asia.
We're not in Asia anymore. Beyond the snails, we also have the stingray right here. It's kind of looking like the kangaroo, charred, a bit rough, tattered on the outside, but on the inside, I don't know. Is it good?
Yep.
Wow, the skin just really peels away so easily. Certainly, I've never seen stingray prepared this way. Oh, that looks gnarly.
Brains.
What? The eyeballs are still there. There's like kind of a protective bone to keep the brain safe. There's gills back here. That looks wild. Can we try some of the meat?
Yeah, go ahead, mate.
Oh, dude, it is juicy. It's so much more moist than fish.
And even slightly mushy.
Yeah.
Let's try it out. Oh, wow.
That's great. That's really good.
It's interesting because it's wet, it's mushy, it's soft, but the flavor is so smoky.
In front of coals.
I was talking earlier about seasonings and herbs, but this doesn't need anything. This is one of the best stingrays I've ever had. It's really delicious.
Clinton, on the way in here, you showed me some rock art of a stingray liver. What is it about the liver that's so important to your people that you were making rock art of it many thousands of years ago?
The Aboriginal Australians have inhabited this land for at least 65,000 years, making them one of the oldest continuous cultures in the world. Their ancient wisdom is reflected in the rock art that adorns the continent.
The liver is a delicacy, like in the goanna, like in the kangaroo. It's got all the good fat, the omegas and all that sort of stuff. And then when combined with the meat, it actually enhances the flavor. It gives it another taste that is different to what the meat would be on its own, you know?
I guess let's try that now. You put it in this traditional bowl. From here you take the raw liver and then you just squeeze it with the meat, making kind of a liver and meat mush. Oh, it looks very soft and jiggly. Oh my gosh.
Oh, dude.
Gentlemen, cheers. Oh. That's good.
It doesn't taste anything like the stingray before, really.
No.
It's different. The extra flavor from that liver.
And from your hands. It's taken on a new texture. It's kind of bouncy. It has the same great smoky meat, but with this fat flavor infused inside of it. It's kind of like the fat from a shrimp head or from a crab.
It's way more creamy. Like it really is like a spread or a paste now.
What's wild is one of the worst things I've ever eaten in my life was stingray liver, and this is delicious. I'm really shocked. I thought I'd be like, okay, yeah, it's good job. I love it. Tradition, that's great, but I like it.
That's pretty good, dude.
Well done. I'm curious, you know, Andrew was talking about the rock art. How far do those go back?
And a lot of them are over the 45,000 year mark, but some are created during the Ice Age period, and then others made in the last few thousand and last couple of hundred years. As far as we know, about 3,000 generations of our family have lived in this same area. In that time, a lot of things have happened and changed, and like even where we are today, the sea wasn't even here. There was no mangrove, no ocean, none of this stingray. It was, you know, 100 kilometers away from where we are now. And as they changed the scenery, they've recorded it as well, and the food that came along with that change and adapted to it.
It's my understanding that seafood like this, pretty much anybody in Australia could go get some snails, could get a stingray. What are the seafood species reserved only for the indigenous people here?
Turtle, for example, is something that only indigenous Australians can eat, and the dugong, which is similar to your manatee.
When you say turtle, you mean sea turtle.
The green turtle.
The food we're after today doesn't appear at any tourist beachside bistro. This is the green sea turtle. And though this hunting ritual may be tough for some to swallow,
we saw a horse taken down, dispatched, slaughtered, and much easier than this.
Way easier.
It's a tradition that's existed here in Australia for thousands of years.
Why is it important that Aboriginal folks here have the right to go and hunt sea turtles?
But before we head to sea, we're warming up with the food the average Australian has never seen before. This steak comes from the cows of the sea, also known as dugong.
I'm told it's kind of like a manatee.
Yeah, it's very similar to the manatee.
First, Clint cuts the meat into bite-sized pieces.
When I saw it, just a big piece of raw meat, it looks like pork.
Yeah, it's very similar to pork. Same sort of fatty texture and the way that the pork is built.
Next, he soaks the dugong meat in a mixture of garlic, chilies, honey, and soy sauce, letting the flavor creep through the muscle fibers. The marinated meat is stir-fried with bok choy and spring onion.
When do people eat this? Is this kind of a special food, or is it a staple that you're going to eat every week?
It's a special food. We have it on like special occasions in this modern day setting, like birthdays and celebrations.
The final product is of something both familiar and foreign, something intriguing and repellent. There is, however, one small holdup. The dugong is a vulnerable species. So before diving in, it'd be nice to know that we're not committing a crime.
Tell me about dugong.
Dugong is a large sea mammal that lives all across the northern waters of Australia. BEFRS eats seagrass, so it's also known as a sea cow.
Despite populating waters of 40 countries and territories, the dugong's numbers are rapidly declining, with around 100,000 left in the wild. Yet they remain an indispensable part of the Aboriginal Australians' traditional diet.
All Indigenous people who come from the northern parts that have the dugong as part of their traditions can all hunt it. But there's Indigenous from the southern half of Australia where the dugong doesn't exist, technically can't hunt these because it's not part of their tradition.
But how is the amount of hunting curtailed or limited to make sure that the animal populations are sustained?
So we have to go out and monitor the number of dugong that's in the wild. If we see that there's a healthy number, it means we can go out and hunt them. But if we see that their numbers have dropped significantly, we won't hunt them and we'll leave them for a few years.
As a testament to the Aboriginal stewardship, Australia proudly boasts the largest population of dugongs in the world.
So the average Australian isn't allowed to hunt it, but if we've got some food, you can actually try some with us.
Oh, it's a first for me.
Dude, I'm like pretty apprehensive, I've got to admit.
I do recommend the fatty bits.
Yeah, I mean, some of these look almost like pork belly, where there's a big layer of fat without the skin on top and then the protein under that. Gentlemen, let's try it out.
Go.
Oh, wow. The texture is very much like a pork chop. The fat part is fatty, but the bit of protein is very lean, even though they're side by side. But that flavor is very unlike many proteins I've had before.
Yeah, I'm really struggling to put, you know, a common touch point on that. It's really, really unique.
I have to try a little bit more. Gosh, how do you describe that flavor? Of course, you put some seasonings on here, so it's peppery and salty. What do you think it tastes like? You think it's just like pork?
It's got a type of pork texture, but to me it's like it's dugong.
The right of hunting dugong is granted to the Aboriginal community through the Native Title Act of 1993. It was a decree preserving cultural rights to the first people of Australia.
It is seen as a controversial food, so it's really important that we hunt properly, ensure that there's enough for the future.
Allowed by the same act is the hunting of sea turtles. Sea turtles hold a special place in people's hearts. They're docile, beautiful, vulnerable. So why is it important for some Aboriginals to maintain a practice that brings so much controversy? The question is best answered by those who engage in the turtle hunting ritual themselves.
My name's Kazim. I hunt about 6 to 7 sea turtles a year.
Why is it okay for people here to hunt sea turtles?
It's a big part of our diet. It's probably one of my main meats that I eat, apart from beef and chicken. I think it's very important for my people to keep hunting, because we've been eating the turtle for thousands of years, so it's definitely been good for us.
The sea turtle is more than just a food source. Hunting the turtle and the dugong are essential for age-old communal ceremonies. To deny this 60,000-year-old tradition is like severing the connection between them and their ancestors. But does that still justify the act of hunting down endangered species?
Our people understand the sea turtles' biology, their seasonal changes, their breeding, everything about them we understand better than anyone, unless someone's actually studied turtles. Because of that, we understand when to hunt, how much to hunt, and when not to hunt. Whereas if the average person who tried to hunt it, they could be taking a female full of eggs and they would diminish their numbers. So we've been able to do this for generations, and the Australian government has recognised it, so they've given us that right and nobody else.
To learn more about this ancient custom, Andrew and I are joining Kazim on his boat, where we'll witness a turtle hunt in person.
Left, taking off, quick!
Followed by a turtle meat barbecue prepared the Aboriginal way.
Oh, dude, what? So the fat is green.
Yeah, man.
Australia's oceans are home to 6 out of 7 sea turtle species, with some of the biggest nesting grounds in the world. But conquering this majestic creature on its own turf takes more than just a skilled hunter. It takes a team.
Oh, left, yards, left.
Kazim's trusty brother-in-law, Richard, guides the rudder at Kazim's command.
This way, yards. He's there.
The turtles we're after prefer to leisurely stroll at 1 to 6 miles per hour, but in the face of danger, they can hit speeds up to 22 miles per hour.
Left, yards. Yeah, he didn't give me much of a chance, eh?
But these speed bursts create an increasing demand for oxygen, meaning the turtle can't retreat to the depths.
You can see him, Yags? Right, Yags!
Rather, it must stay near the surface, breaching more often for air.
Can one of you give me the speed?
Such a moment is precisely when Kazim is able to strike.
Got him. So, yep. Watch your feet, boys.
This is a green sea turtle, the largest hard-shelled marine turtle, able to grow to 4.5 feet and weigh 350 pounds.
The turtle we got today weighs about 80 kilos. I usually don't like to hit him too hard. I just like to get the harpoon in a bit, not to damage any organs or anything inside, in case we want to let it go.
This is the harsh, lopsided nature of nature. A tragic day for this magnificent creature and a cause for celebration for Kazim and his family.
I do feel sorry, and I say sorry to the animal when I kill it, but at the end of the day, it's what I eat it, and I get to feed the family, and yeah.
Wow. I can say that affected me a lot more than I thought it would. I don't know what it is about turtles. One time I went to Hanoi, I went to a restaurant where they brought a turtle to our table and they slit its neck at the table. And it really bothered me, which is weird because I've been all around the world and I've seen everything from giant camels get slaughtered, goats. I shot a friggin' zebra in South Africa, but there's something about turtles that makes me just have pure sympathy for them. Going into this episode, I knew I would have the opportunity to eat sea turtle because among the indigenous folks who live here, some of them have turtle in their homes, in their freezers, or in their refrigerators. But I didn't think it was fair for me to just go to someone's house and try it out without seeing the full process and seeing how it worked for myself. So I wanted to go see it. Even for me, even for somebody who is fully aware that there's so many, hypocritical people out there when it comes to food and what's okay to consume, what's not okay to consume, it can still be difficult to set aside my personal feelings on the topic or on the animal. I can totally see for these young guys here who are just part of a long lineage where this has been happening for thousands of years, it's another animal. It doesn't mean they don't have any feelings toward it, but they have a purpose in doing what they're doing. And I think it's important for me to put a spotlight and to create a platform to share the stories of the people here. In these situations when it's really difficult to separate yourself from your own feelings, I think it's more important to focus on the culture and the people and to go outside yourself. This isn't my story, this isn't about my feelings, this is about the people here. This is about a tradition that's existed for thousands of years and still goes on today.
Having dispatched and portioned his catch, Kazim saves the remaining meat in a cooler to later share with his family and friends. But his favorite cuts have been saved for us, starting with the turtle liver. Kazim slices the organ into thin pieces and places them on the grill. He continuously flips the meat until it's ready to be served.
Gentlemen, I just want to take stock of how unique a moment this is, especially for Andrew and I. I mean, that's just not an opportunity you come across often.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel about it. On one hand, I'm kind of honored, and on the other hand, I'm still incredibly apprehensive. When you're faced with the food in front of you and having just seen this creature pulled out of the ocean, it's hard not to think about it.
Andrew and I went to Mongolia. We saw a horse get taken down, dispatched, slaughtered, and much easier than this.
Way, way easier. It's hard to know why. It doesn't make logical sense.
No.
But it does affect you.
We have the liver right here. This is a unique texture. It's kind of squishy. Is there something particularly special about the liver itself?
With a lot of animals, predatory species, they'll actually target things like the liver and heart and stuff like that because of how much benefit it has compared to the ordinary meat. So we're a predator at the end of the day, so that's what we also want to eat.
It was like a multivitamin, an ancient multivitamin.
Right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Mushy, slightly briny. It tastes of kelp.
Yeah, it really does.
Has a slight bitter bile flavor.
Yeah.
A ton of minerality.
Oddly, it's got a green tinge to it. Dude, it is way creamier than most livers.
Yeah, that may be due to the medium nature to which he cooked it.
Sure.
Ooh, that's intense.
That's all right. I've never been a fan of the liver. Turtle liver is intense, but understand it's really good for you.
Okay, doesn't mind.
Yep, don't mind.
And he's got the whole thing in his mouth, so I think that says enough. Do you think indigenous folks here see a sea turtle strictly as like a source of protein, or do they see the beauty in it too, or both?
When I was growing up, I always loved turtles just because of their beauty as well. And when my grandfather was teaching me how to hunt turtle, I used to get really emotional. And when he would go to kill it, he would make me do it. I remember I used to cry when I was killing a turtle, so I actually understand how you feel. But from his perspective, he was trying to toughen me up, keep my emotions inside so that I could do the job so that we could feed the family. At the end of the day, we use it as a food source, like I said, and we're doing it as sustainably as we possibly can.
It's not for sport, it's not going to waste, and it's going to feed a lot of people.
Yep.
The most prized part of the turtle is what?
Chest plate.
And that is just the whole front, like bottom section right here, right?
Yep.
All right, I guess we're trying that next.
Utilizing the turtle's chest plate as a cooking vessel, Kazim puts it on the open fire, roasting the attached chest meat.
Why do you like this part so much?
I like it because it has a nice flavor. So I like the room tail that we had. It doesn't do a lot of moving, so it's the most tenderest part.
What about you?
I like the whole process of it being cooked over the fire. It definitely makes it taste better.
It's like when you rotisserize a pig over a fire and the skin keeps in the juices. It's like a nature's plate with a bunch of meat stuck onto it. You just toss it on the fire, flip it a few times, and it's ready to go. Should we dig in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that tastes like 4 different animals. As I bit into it, I was thinking chicken, pork, fish, frog. In that order.
The weirdest thing, it kind of tastes like the goanna we ate on the first day.
It's got that similar flavor to the goanna. They're both reptiles.
The pork part would be more the texture. It's not super lean, but it is like a juicy pork chop in the way that it tastes.
And the visuals, they kind of look like strips, big strips of pork.
Oh, it's fascinating.
How much meat do you get out of one turtle?
A lot of meat. I'd say at least 60 kilos.
So do you see them bigger than this?
Yeah, they get like twice the size of it.
Friggin',
that's wild. There seem to be heaps of them. We saw, you know, 10 before we caught this one.
A lot of people don't like the fact that we as indigenous people are still eating turtle and when the rest of the world isn't. But our practices have worked. They've worked for thousands of years. We're eating turtle at least maybe once a fortnight, but there's still so many out there.
What is this green part?
That's the fat. You can have a taste of that.
Oh, dude, what? That's fat?
Yeah.
Do you eat it on its own or with some meat?
You can have it on its own. You can eat it with the meat as well.
Yeah, so on its own.
He said with the meat.
Yeah, but that seems easy. Cheers. That's quite good.
It's really good, actually.
Wow, oh my God, it's like if seaweed was infused into pork fat and then you fried that until it was crunchy. Holy cow.
Who would have thought green fat tastes good?
Why does that make you laugh?
Oh, nah. Yeah, it really does taste good, eh?
Yeah, I need a little bit more of that.
This is by far the most unique turtle experience I've ever had. I've only had turtle maybe 2 other times. I swore it off because I find them to be quite adorable, but that fat is so good. Wow. Jesus, I feel guilty. I don't like it so much. Oh no. We getting canceled for sure. This is the end of my career, Andrew, so thank you for one last video.
Not a problem.
You brought up an interesting point earlier, which is that years and years ago, the Europeans came here, they saw the turtles, they were slaughtering them en masse, and then canning them and then shipping them back to Europe.
European colonization crashed upon Australia in the 1800s, triggering intense exploitation of newly discovered marine resources. After over a century, commercial netting was banned, but not before the population had plummeted to alarming levels.
And meanwhile, time goes by and people are telling you that you shouldn't be able to eat your food.
Yeah.
It's not really fair.
Yeah.
And to kind of switch gears for a second, I want to ask, you know, the history here when it comes to how indigenous people here and across the island have been treated, when it comes to the pain and suffering they've endured, it's extreme and it's immeasurable.
80% of the indigenous population declined within the first century of European contact. Hundreds of Aboriginal languages and customs became extinct. Over 20,000 Aboriginal children were removed from their families. These disturbing numbers portray only part of a dark era endured by the Aboriginal communities under European colonization.
And I'm wondering how you go through that, how you inherit that, but don't carry around any bitterness as far as I can see. You don't seem like a jaded person, a bitter person. Can you talk about that?
Obviously, a lot of bad things have happened in our history, but our people have always been a resilient people, and that's why we've been able to survive here for such a long time. And I think that resilience makes us stronger in not just in our mind, but in our heart and our emotions. We can handle a lot of things, and we can take whatever comes at us and we can move forward from it because we know we'll still be here for a long time. So we're like, well, if we're going to be here for future generations, there's no point worrying about things. Let's just keep doing things, keep moving forward, work hard and feed our family and keep our culture strong. And that to us is the most important thing. And so one of the main things we really want to do is teach people our way, because our way is the way that works in this country, and that way can teach a lot of people how to live properly on this land so that the rest of the world can learn something and, you know, see these new different foods that they haven't seen before.
Oh, they're gonna learn a lot, whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
Now, we're headed across this giant continent to the island of Tasmania. This island state has a population of only 500,000, but it boasts some of the most impressive edible wildlife anywhere. On land,
possum is a very dense meat, so it does need a nice long slow braise.
It's like better than pulled pork. How?
And in the sea.
Nothing better than just eating something that you caught.
We're on a mission to explore what creatures lurk in the pristine waters that surround this island. From marine life caught by hand.
It's one of the best meat textures out there.
To a large-scale seafood factory, processing thousands of pounds of ocean meat per month.
How popular is eating shark in Australia?
This succulent seafood lover's dream begins right here on the coast.
Gentlemen, thank you for being here today.
We have an absolute treat for you guys. We have been out on a hunt, a couple of days out at sea, about 50 kilometers offshore at one point, and we have gathered some fantastic Tassie treats for you.
This is Tim. He works as a director of photography, and Chris here is a retired veteran. They each have their own YouTube channels where they showcase a passion for diving and thrilling adventures around the island of Tasmania.
So catching all this stuff, are you using the same method?
Pretty much, we were both diving on a compressor, which is a hose running to us underwater so we can take our time down there.
Yeah, you've got to use your hands down here. We can't use any utensils, no spears, nothing like that. So it's purely just with your mitts.
How many creatures are in both of these eskies right now?
We've got 3 unshucked abalone in here and about 4 shucked abalone.
We'd have 8 odd crayfish in here. Dare I say it's the biggest crayfish or lobster that you've shown on your show so far.
Gentlemen, I think it's time for some show and tell.
Let's get into it. Okay.
Our first catch is a worldwide luxury product, and the best of its kind can be found in the coastal waters of Tasmania. This is the black lip abalone. These sea critters are masters of disguise, blending in with ordinary rocks. But once you spot one, all it takes is a flick of the knife to pop it off.
And what we've got here...
Dude, that is a huge ass abalone.
Soon, we'll get a taste of this opulent delicacy.
Pound for pound, the abalone is one of the best meat textures out there. It's so dense, it's like a goat heart. That's a pretty good catch.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's close it up.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this one.
Tim?
Alrighty, well, this is a full day on the water. I really hope you enjoy the size of these ones, and they are just so beautiful. We love these creatures down here.
You've hyped this up quite a bit.
Now, we've set our sights on the grand prize, the infamous Tasmanian rock lobster. As Tim and Chris dive deeper, the temperature plummets and sunlight fades. Our target is a hide-and-seek master, using the rugged landscape to stay out of sight. Once spotted, the real challenge is actually catching them. Without hesitation, you must zero in, make your move, and grab it.
Holy shit!
What? That's about a 3.5 kilo cray.
Dude, that is crazy. That's easily the biggest crayfish I've ever seen.
With a seriously tough shell and the ability to regenerate lost legs, this creature is not just a feast for the eyes, but a delicious conquest for those who dare to pluck it from the salty depths.
Wow, gentlemen, you've outdone yourselves. This is fantastic. I cannot wait to see what kind of delicious food this gets made into. Let's do it.
So first thing I'm going to do is shuck this. You just use a butter knife and then put your thumb in there and open it up like that, and you're left with this beautiful shell. So now I'm just going to rip these guts off, and then I'm just cutting the mouth of this abalone. So the reason we cut the mouth out is these are a filter eating mussel, so we want to get rid of all the bad stuff. We're left with this mussel here. If we just cook these like this, it's going to be really rubbery and not the greatest texture. Give it a nice good bash, and then you can see how much softer it is. A lot easier to eat, comes up much better for us.
The pragmatically tenderized abalone gets a thorough wash with seawater. Then it's coated with a mixture of breadcrumbs, herbs, salt, and pepper.
So I like to keep it easy. Don't worry about your milk and eggs. Chuck it all in a sandwich bag and give it a good shake.
Now it's time to give these snails a sizzle. Once fried to a crunch, the abalone meat is cut into bite-sized pieces and served with fresh citrus, lettuce, and Chris's special sauce, consisting of soy sauce, wasabi, and minced garlic.
Lots of people struggle cooking abalone, but this way, you just can't go wrong.
Cheers. It's a steak of the sea, really, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm surprised how tender it is.
His tenderizing method actually works quite effectively. Now, I do appreciate the dense texture of abalone, but this is nice too. It's just a different take that I've never experienced. It falls apart in your mouth a little bit more. Where'd you pick up this recipe?
So I actually created this just by being lazy. Yeah, it's one of my favorite ways of doing it. Nice and easy. You know, if you sort of wrap it in the lettuce, give it a bit of a dip. Look at that, that's just bloody perfect, I reckon.
That's like Korean barbecue. There you go. This whole island, how many people live here?
Oh, I think about 500,000 on the whole island.
I mean, it's not many people.
How far is it from mainland Australia?
240 kilometers south.
And to get off the island, you basically have to fly, right?
Swim.
Right. That's an option too. So that makes this island really unique because even though it's part of Australia, it's not that close to the mainland. And so over time, it's going to develop maybe a little bit of its own culture. How would you say Tasmania is different from mainland Australia?
The beautiful thing about Tasmania is that there are so many untouched gems here.
Tasmania, unlike mainland Australia, offers a journey back in time with its untouched wilderness and dramatic landscapes. It's a realm of rugged cliffs, dense rainforests, and relentless southern ocean waves, standing in stark contrast to the more familiar scenes of the Australian outback.
The whole uncharted, untouched, that's a big thing for me. So yeah, it's a really good place to sort of grow up and spend your years, I reckon.
We have one more course remaining.
Fresh Tasmanian lobster roll.
Lobsters this size are a bounty of sweet, rich meat. Today's recipe requires some thick, meaty tails.
Alrighty, so what we're going to do here is cook these tails for about 10 to 15 minutes. It's such a beautiful white sweet meat and it's unlike anything else from the ocean. Straight on the barbecue. Now we're just going to start slow cooking them through the pan with a little bit of garlic butter. We've also got some of these cray legs. These big fighting claws are going to be fantastic.
Now for the build. Smear on cream cheese and make a bed of chopped lettuce on which the lobster meat can rest. Get it? It's resting on a bed? Oh, fucking clever. Finally, drizzle some tangy sauce on top.
This looks gorgeous. What makes it Tasmanian?
I made it, and I'm Tasmanian.
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
That is so good.
The bread is perfect. There's a crisp of the lettuce, then the tang of the mayonnaise inside, but man, just tons and tons of delicious lobster.
That is some of the sweetest lobster I've ever had.
Yeah, it's a really good way of cooking it like that. Easy as, just chuck it on the coals and can't go wrong.
Oh, I love how smoky it is too.
Really good.
Just a great, delicious, creative use of these local ingredients that you guys fought hard for. Do you feel the reward? I feel the reward and I didn't do anything.
Nothing better than just eating something that you've caught.
Yeah, I think it takes you back to that primal instinct of us. You know, I believe we're all animals in some way. So, you know, go catch your own food and then eat it like this. It's just perfect, isn't it?
And we've still got the legs to get into it.
Well, let's do that.
There you go.
That is wild.
This is what you don't find on many lobsters.
So this is an example of getting it in one piece. Sort of comes out like that.
Just go straight up?
Straight down the gob.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
So sweet, succulent, delicious.
Still juicy.
A little bit smoky. I'm so curious, can anybody catch what you're catching here? How does that work?
You need a license to be able to fend for yourself with these guys.
Tasmania's flourishing seafood scene is attributed not only to its lively ecosystem, but also to the community's conservation efforts. For example, Tim and Chris are only allowed to catch 2 lobsters and 10 abalone in one outing.
Back in the day, like my grandfather, he'll tell you stories about him just out the front here when there was abundance more of these creatures.
So the numbers have decreased that much?
It has decreased, but over the last couple of years, conservation has kicked in and the population are coming back quite strong.
Both of you have channels that are focused on Australian outdoors, on catching seafood, on wildlife. For each of you, what is the goal with your channel and what kind of message do you hope to get to your audience?
My channel is called Tascast. I teach people how to catch the fish that I catch and to remind people of conservation on those fish at the same time to make sure that we can fish into the future.
My social media channel, Tassie Adventure Man, and I predominantly do a lot of outdoor and underwater adventures. So a big part of my life and my social media is PTSD, anxiety, mental health. So I think it's really important for people to see that if you are having some of these illnesses, then you can still have a good life. Yeah, I'm just an everyday bloke, so do what I do and you'll enjoy it.
The best thing as well about everything that we do is it gets you out in nature, and to me, I'm the best possible version of myself when I'm on my boat fishing with a rod in my hand.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. This has been incredible. It was good to get a little taste, and we got actually a lot more than just a little taste. And then from here, we're going big.
We're embarking on a 3-hour drive across the island to its capital, Hobart. Here we'll tour a family-owned seafood factory where they do it all, from catching and processing to distributing to restaurants. We're here to indulge in some unexpected local favorites like shark meat.
Oh gosh, that looks lovely.
But first, a quick tour.
We love seafood, is essentially what we do.
Our guide, Jock Muir, third generation of Muir's fishing.
We fish probably pretty similarly to how you would have been down on the beach. We use hooks, but instead of one hook on a rod, we use auto long lines, set 500 meters deep, and we catch fish like Lua Trevella.
Why hook the fish and not throw out gigantic nets?
For us, it's all about quality. Hook caught fish, you're not getting that pressure on the fish. In a big net, if you're catching a ton of fish, you've got a ton of pressure pushing down on each fish.
Ruins the flow.
And you ever have other countries intruding on your territory? New Zealand, Japan. Do you have cannons on your boats?
No, not quite that bad. It's all friendly.
For now. We're excited to see the rest of the factory and everything that happens here. I guess we could start with this. What is this station all about?
This is our main processing floor. So some of our team started at 11:30 last night and they'll work through to about midday. Easter week this week, big week for us.
Remember those giant lobsters from this morning? Well, Jock has a literal boatload of them right here.
First of all, how big is your biggest lobster?
We'd have a few about 3 kilo fish. We got a nice big one there.
Yeah.
To fill this gigantic tank, Jack orders lobsters from contractors all around Tasmania. Instead of catching them by hand, they trap the spiny crustaceans with baited cages.
Cray pots is what we call it. South coast of Tassie, west coast of Tassie, east coast, you can catch crayfish all around Tassie.
The one in your hand right now, if you had to guess about how much would that cost?
In a fancy restaurant, you'd probably be paying $600, I reckon.
It's a lot of money for a meal, and I guess it's just so much work to get these, right?
The demand for them can go through the roof, and that's what drives the price up really high.
Fantastic. All right, let's keep moving. I want to see what else you got.
Not a problem.
Fish and chips is typically made from cod or haddock, but Australia is not a typical place. And in just moments, we'll be trying fish and chips shark style.
So this is a mako shark, probably 70 kilos, I reckon, gilled and gutted.
Mako shark is a lightning-fast predator high up on the food chain, capable of reaching speeds up to 45 miles per hour.
How popular is eating shark in Australia?
They aggressively feed on a variety of marine species, including other sharks.
Fish and chips, everyone wants flake, and for most Australians, flake means shark. Gummy sharks, school sharks are very popular. Mako sharks up there as well.
Any market for this right here?
Lots of Asian markets love the fins. We don't do much of it ourselves here in Tassie, but we do send a bit over to the Melbourne markets.
Are you targeting to fish these, or is it considered bycatch?
This is a bycatch for us. So a lot of our bycatch, non-targeted fish is still really good, usable product like this shark here.
Before we dive fork first into our impending seafood feast, how about a tantalizing teaser? Welcome to the
oyster room.
Mixed prison.
This is the Tasmanian Pacific oyster. These oysters, nurtured in the cool and nutrient-rich southern and eastern coastlines, are a sought-after delicacy worldwide.
How many are you shucking a day?
200 to 300 dozen.
300 dozen is 5 million? What is the secret to effectively shucking an oyster?
Every oyster's got a muscle at about 3 o'clock. So I go in there, turn my knife up to cut the muscle off the top lid, and then you scrape down to detach it from the bottom shell and flip it over and turn it so it's ready to eat straight out of the shell.
Wow. And he's doing that once every 6 seconds.
This guy's a machine. That's really good.
It has a natural sweetness and a natural saltiness to it, and it's a nice size. I used to think bigger was better with oysters. Incorrect.
Really good condition these oysters are at the moment, so they're a beautiful oyster.
Very nice, super delicious.
The only thing better than a lobster is another lobster, though instead of grilling, this one is steamed with a fleet of his friends. Here, an industrial-sized vat receives a collection of lobsters that steam for about 30 minutes. Normally, after steaming, they'd be chilled and delivered to local restaurants. But for us, they're cut in half by Chef Nathan, the mastermind behind 3 of Muir's seafood restaurants. With the addition of lemon and homemade aioli, this dish is complete.
Oi, gentlemen, this looks outstanding. The first thing I want to start with is this right here.
Go for it.
This thing is meaty.
There we go.
Wow. That is half a lobster tail. We have a lime and coriander aioli here. Aioli is like mayonnaise for rich people.
Cheers, enjoy.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's delicious. This is so juicy, it's plump.
I wonder if it's because of the size. Is there like an ideal size for a lobster? They're all pretty good.
I think the general public leans towards the smaller size. They do say when they get older, they get a little bit more tough, but it's also a high cost item, so people may go for a smaller size one.
That's what I would do. I would get the smaller one and be like, well, they taste better, actually. What is the difference, would you say, between this kind of lobster and something like Alaskan lobster?
The European or the Alaskan ones are a lot more refined in their texture. They're not as densely packed in with the flavour and the muscle structure here. I think these ones are a bit more of a wilder, kind of stronger sea creature.
Yeah, this is very dense.
It's got a bit more bite to it.
Yeah, it's a longer chew, yeah.
Course 2, an exhilarating encounter with a mako shark. Blend plain flour, self-rising flour, dock cider, salt, pepper, tarragon, and fresh dill. Coat the shark fillet in plain flour, then a layer of the batter. Immerse it in sizzling hot oil until it transforms into a golden masterpiece with a crunchy batter that sings with flavor. To accompany the shark, plants.
I'm gonna crack a piece of this off. Oh gosh, that looks lovely. I'm always so fascinated by shark. The idea that people would even eat shark was something I didn't realize till I was maybe in my 30s. Cheers. Wow.
That's really good. It's not that flaky, much softer flesh, but the flavor is great.
You have a great crust on there, very delicate. The meat, it's almost on the side of being slightly mushy.
It sort of reminds me of the stingray we had in WA.
But when you mix that softer texture with the outer crunch, it's a nice combination. Can you tell me about this right here?
This is our blue-eye trevella. And this is actually a modernized recipe from the Muir's family recipe.
The blue-eye trevella is a large fish that can grow up to 3 feet in length. This deep-sea swimmer is cherished for its tasty flesh, and we're about to find out why. After the blue-eye trevella is filleted, it's seared, giving it a beautiful crust. Baste it with tarragon-infused butter, then transfer the fish to a baking tray. More butter, then let it finish in the oven. Time to build our plate, starting with some delightful plants. A velvety lemon tarragon sauce and Tasmanian salmon roe. The fillet also gets a drizzle before tapping in. Finish off with olive oil and a crispy trevella skin cracker.
Oh, that's so good.
Completely different texture from the shark. It's so meaty.
You get these big scallops of a flake.
It's got a really sweet flavor.
That little bit of citrus and the creamy tarragon goes well with it.
Oh yeah, this is excellent. Mix that with the cracker, mix it with some veggies. Wow.
It's really a famous table fish for Tasmania right now. It's really versatile. So you can put it in a curry, you can pan fry it or grill it or barbecue, whatever you want to do with it.
Oh, it's like the tofu of fish.
Here in Tasmania, you guys are super blessed. This is ridiculous, the amount of different kinds of seafood we've tried. What's your favorite kind of ingredient to work with here?
I think the blue-eyed trevella is one of the most approachable fish. Also the lobster and abalone and things like that. We have a great variety of seafood down here that you don't get up on the east coast of Australia or far north. We get a lot of native coastal ingredients. Even on my drive to work, I'm using just some local sea asparagus that are just in the little river system, and I can see that. Just pick some with the scissors, and they actually go on a couple of the dishes in the restaurant as well. There's food, and there's a whole food trail everywhere you go in Tasmania.
It's so abundant with life, with sea creatures. There's just so much here, yet only 500,000 people live here. Do you have any idea why that is?
We try to keep it a secret.
Yeah, boy.
People complain about the cold, but I've lived here my whole life, so I don't know any different. But it's beautiful, it's stunning. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. And you know, I've grown up diving for crays and fishing with Dad, and it's such a good lifestyle.
The last thing I want to know is, in spite of everything you do have here for food, are there foods that can't quite quench the palate of the people here? Are there things you have to import from other parts of Australia or other parts of the world, especially when it comes to seafood?
Prawns. Our water's too cold for a reliable prawn fishery down here, so that's a big hole we have to fill.
And definitely some vegetables. All in all, we focus more on the seasonality and the local produce down here because there's enough to put on menus, there's enough to go around all the supermarkets.
Yeah, I gotta say, we just came from Western Australia. It's completely different. The geography, the climate, the weather was brutal, hot, humid, and the same with the types of food you're gonna find is completely different too. So it's been refreshing to see how much diversity there is just in going to these two places in Australia. It's quite amazing. So, gentlemen.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
Now we're moving away from the sea and heading inland in search of animals that climb,
see that tree moving,
crawl,
another one by the gate,
and hop.
Where's the woolly little shit?
Meet Scott, part-time insomniac, full-time hunter, a man devoted to controlling this island's exploding animal population.
The reason why I like to shoot is I like being alone. I'm a loner.
Every night when the sun sets, he scours the fields and woodlands in search of prey. Deer, possum, wallaby. Some nights, he bags up to 100 animals.
Sonny, I want you to smell that animal and tell me you like the smell of it.
Like coffee?
Now, Andrew and I are on a mission to learn how this animal harvesting works and why it's so important.
With the possum, we've just got an order at the moment. There's 3,000 of these that we've got to get in the next month.
Plus, we'll have the chance to dine on that wild animal protein.
What is the species here?
We've described it as the Pinot of red meats.
Ah, that's a good line.
Our story begins with a not-so-typical dish.
It's not a commonly eaten meat by white Australians, but it was a favourite of Aboriginal Australians.
It's also an unusual morning for agricultural scientist John, as he cooks up a mysterious meat for me and Andrew.
Quite a dense, fulsome flavoured meat.
So what particular protein is John working with today? In the dark of night, this small marsupial, native to Australia, scurries up and down trees in search of its next meal. Its bulbous, shiny eyes are a dead giveaway. This is a Tasmanian possum with a diet consisting of fruit, leaves, flowers, and occasionally small insects. The possum also makes one tasty meal. At least that's what John claims.
Right. You just gave me the eyes. John, a pleasure to be here. In here, there's possum. It looks like a pulled pork.
It's pulled possum.
Pulled possum.
This recipe involves braising the possum meat in water and pork fat for hours. It's seasoned with garlic, cinnamon, salt, clove, thyme, bay leaves, and to truly capture the essence of this land, John adds local pepper berries.
Just take a little nibble of that berry.
Oh yeah? It's really warm. It really reminds me of like a cinnamon candy that has some kick to it.
On the side, a sauce made from apple cider vinegar, brown sugar, Australian brie berries, and pear.
What the?
Dude, that's amazing.
First of all, just the flavors. You can taste the cinnamon and a little bit of the berry. It's super moist.
I kept expecting it to taste like a pulled pork, I think just because of the visuals.
It's like better than pulled pork. How? It is succulent, incredibly juicy. Right. It's not at all mushy. The texture is quite perfect. That is quite a surprise.
Possum is a very dense meat, so it does need a nice, long, slow braise.
This protein, it must be super popular in Tasmania, right?
It's not. We don't try to market possum. Our business is all about wallaby.
Wearing many hats, John, the agricultural scientist, also serves as the CEO of Lena Game Meats, a company that's been producing A-list game meats harvested from these bountiful lands for the last 30 years.
We have a dozen licensed commercial harvesters who are harvesting wild animals to supply us, and they're out every night of the week.
What animals are on that list?
Bennett's wallaby, brush-tailed possum, fallow deer, rabbits, and hare.
In one night, how many animals could a hunter expect to bring in?
A good night's 30 to 50 animals.
Wow.
Irrigation development across Tasmania and years of good vegetative growth have created an all-you-can-eat buffet for wild animals, leading to a population explosion, especially among wallabies.
They are an agricultural problem to farmers. They eat a lot of pasture and a lot of crops.
Farmers who face the challenge of crop damage often resort to using poison to protect their yields. Poisoning leads to a painful, slow, cruel death, and it's wasteful. But there's a better solution. Bringing in full-time professional hunters like Scott.
I've got a lot of property from here to Campbelltown, which try to do an impact to stop poisoning, to try to keep the numbers down, and that's what motivates me to actually shoot. And I know when I do it, it's done very humanely, and when you lot eat it, you'll understand, you know, it's a good meal.
Yeah, we had some possum. It was delicious.
They're terrible animals. I'll let you eat that. You'll understand tonight when we get one.
Scott operates as a one-man band, off-road driver, sharpshooter, field dresser, and an artisan of expletives.
Let's see where that f***ing possum is, little shithead.
Equipped with a hand-operated spotlight to pierce through the darkness, and a rack system in the back meant to pack out his bounty.
This is the vehicle right here. It's a little easier to get around on this than a big truck or something.
It's open so that you've got access to everything you need.
When the last beam of light fades, Scott takes his cue.
Put the rifles on to go mode. We're moving out. We're just going to look out probably 50, 80 metres.
Whichever unfortunate creature crosses our path tonight will be a potential menu item for me and Andrew tomorrow.
This, I would think, would be from a completely different animal.
Basically what we're doing is we want the wind on our nose, which it is, I can feel it in my face. So what we're hunting for, if we're going to go for deer, I'm going to be looking for eyes, and Roo will be looking for shape. You want to shoot something?
This here is a wallaby, a distant cousin of the kangaroo, but much smaller in size. They're nocturnal animals, feeding on grasses and leafy plants.
Brain shot it. These ones kick like fuck. I'm up in here. Now we need to bleed it. The kicking business that was just going on, be sure it's shot in the brain. That is just nerves, there is no life in it whatsoever. Now we leave it, we go to the next one. There goes a Rhodes.
Scott, it seems, was born for this.
Found another one.
Like some kind of wallaby terminator sent back from the future.
So we're here, we've got another young Bennett.
He operates with pure efficiency.
Another one by the gate.
Taking aim, shooting, identifying his next target.
So what we do now, is we come back, we gut this one.
Slicing.
Straight down.
Dumping the guts.
Smells like a dirty, I better not say that.
Hanging the animal.
Now we come back to the one we just got.
Then striking again within minutes.
Row out in front.
That said, even wallaby terminators can have glitches. And periodically, Scott's bullets choose a path of their own.
That's a miss.
What do you like about this job?
What I like about the job is that I'm good at it. And I do love the animals. Don't get me wrong, I'm not shooting because I dislike the animal. I really like the animal. But I know if I do it, I can do it properly. And I know that it's a good death for the animal. Possum, Sonny, where's the woolly little shit? There he is, little cunt. I'll f***ing shoot his fucking mother.
It seems that Scott and the possum may have a bit of history.
Take that, you son of a bitch.
As he carefully field dresses the animal, he reveals his side of their rocky relationship.
Right, Sonny, I want you to smell that animal and tell me you like the smell of it. Don't get your hands near it because they'll bite you, they'll scratch you even with their head blown off. I mean, you look at this.
Yeah.
Very disgusting around the groin.
You said I should give it a sniff.
No, I'm saying you sniff this.
That's like its armpit right there in its chest, right?
What's it smell like? Eucalyptus?
Like coffee? Medium roast?
Have a look at the liver on them. I'll give it a cut for you so you can get your trunk into that. Oh, nasty thing. What do you reckon?
Interesting. Yeah, it has like a old leather couch that's been left in the attic for 15 years that grandma died on kind of smell.
Yeah, it is.
Well, it's not that bad.
No.
Oh, that's what I ate today. It was delicious.
As the night goes on, unfolding before our eyes is an astonishing abundance of these agile creatures hopping through the fields. As much as I'd be keen to jump in the driver's seat and give Scott's job a go, this type of animal harvesting is highly regulated. Not only must you have proper permits, but hunters here are mandated to land a fatal blow to the brain every single time.
We've got a ton of animals here, man. In a typical day, how many are you going to take out?
What I sort of come back with now is probably 30 greys, probably 4 or 5 deer, 10 possum, a few forester. I suppose in a typical year I'd have to shoot 10 to 12,000 of these, grey ones, and probably 1,000, 1,200 foresters, probably 1,000 deer. And with the possum, we've just got an order at the moment that's 3,000 of these that we've got to get in the next month. So we shoot a lot and we don't ever sort of have any problem getting the animal, and it actually helps everyone really to what we do.
Tomorrow we're having dinner at John's place. We're cooking up the wallaby and we're hoping you can join us.
Yes, I'd love to.
All right, let's do it.
Thank you. Don't worry about it. Sonny rude shit. Thank you very much. It was great.
Soon, these furry creatures will make their way to our dinner table.
This is the wallaby wings. Are they really wings?
But before they grace our plates, they'll be processed at the Lena Game Meats Factory. This facility can process up to 1,000 animals per week.
We have a vision of us producing our food in this land from the animals that belong here. Cattle and sheep have hard hoofs. They're not native to this country. They're introduced, and farming them, they use a lot of water and they emit methane. Wallabies have soft pads on their feet, which are soft on our soils. They drink almost no water and they emit almost no methane. So from an environmental point of view, producing our meat from them makes a lot more sense.
No part of the animal goes to waste. The fur is treated and transformed into cozy wug boots, while the meat is meticulously portioned, broken down into various cuts.
So we have the wallaby right here. Does a wallaby have cuts of meat like a cow does?
Absolutely. About 15 different cuts on that animal that we take out of it. What's taken out there now at the moment is just the flat. The main product for that is our minced wallaby. Prime cuts are back here.
All in the lower body.
So he's taking out here now the eye fillets. Coming out now is the porterhouse, boning out the whole leg, taking off the tail and the strip loins which are down in here. So all of that
bone product is going into a trolley all over there and gets minced up for pet meat.
Dog food.
I could drop you through that mincer hole in one piece if I wanted to. So that's wallaby strip line pears.
It just looks like a dense piece of lean beef.
So this is the wallaby wing.
Oh, now I get it. Is it at all similar to a chicken wing?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
No, it's 100 times better than a chicken wing.
Oh, really?
From here, most of the prime cuts are packaged and ready to ship out, while some is processed into savory smoked wallaby or wallaby salami.
Right here, our very first taste. Should we try out the salami first?
It's not a traditional salami. A lot of people would probably call it more like a Devon. But go for it.
A Devon?
A Devon?
A Devon. You don't know what a Devon is?
You know, it says food expert under my name, but you can just write that on any software. I didn't actually like get a certificate or anything. Cheers. Wow. That's delicious. Super salty. It tastes fatty. It's cold. It has a nice density to it, but it's not actually fatty, you're saying. No. That's remarkable.
It's much smoother than a typical salami, you know what I mean? It doesn't have that chewiness. It's not aged, I imagine.
Oh, nice and smoky too.
The trim product you saw the guys taking off the wallabies up there, that's what goes into this.
It's really good.
Yeah, I could smash that.
And this is smoked. A little different, obviously, because it's not minced up.
That's one of the muscles off the legs.
Yeah, so a bit different texture. It's really nice.
What's the market for the meat? Who's buying this stuff?
Now we have our wallaby in 200 supermarkets across Tasmania and Victoria, and over 100 restaurant menus a year.
It's amazing how much you're able to do with these animals and how you're able to fully utilize them in every possible way. Aren't Uggs like an Australian thing?
Yeah, of course.
Do guys wear them?
Yeah, guys wear Uggs.
All right, in Minnesota, it's just it's white chicks.
They're comfortable, man. Should be a dude thing.
I'm gonna start a trend.
Right.
Wugs.
Next, last night's prey will become tonight's private meal as we head back to John's farmhouse.
Andrew?
Sonny.
How are you liking Tasmania?
It's effing stunning. What have I been wasting my time for in Queensland? I'm moving here.
Our menu starts with wallaby meat prepared 2 ways.
I have been surprised about the abundance of wild foods and just pretty much how good everything's been taste-wise.
First up, crumbed wallaby wings, brought to life by John's wife, Katrina. In this case, the so-called wings are actually the rather stout wallaby arms, slow roasted for 3 hours. A blend of breadcrumbs, pepperberry, salt, and rosemary, together with whipped eggs and flour, stand ready for a bold plunge. After being coated, it's time to crisp them up just right.
This is very interesting, very unique. These are the wallaby wings. These are the arms, and I'm told they're not used a lot, and so that the meat's softer. Evidently, the less you use your meat, the softer it gets. I think that's true. It's very small. It's like a T-Rex arm, basically.
You know what that tastes like? Like rabbit.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's more greasy than rabbit.
Yeah, it's greasier, kind of like duck.
Yeah, but it has a bit of a wild flavor to it too.
Right.
And it's got a little funk to it, but it's a good funk. It's like a guy who wears too much cologne, but you hate that you like the smell. Uh-oh, did I reveal something about myself? The way she's cooked it has made the meat incredibly soft. The texture is a little bit like a duck confit, so where it's fatty and falling apart. But the flavor, there's something else there. A little bit like it's just been eating natural, flavorful herbs and plants its whole life and not just been fed a bunch of grain.
The batter here is super flavorful. Has that same local pepper.
Oh, I cannot eat 12 of these, that's for sure.
With one wallaby dish down, there's one more crop-consuming critter that often ends up in Scott's crosshairs, the deer. Lean venison fillets are salted and seared, sizzling on a thick cast iron flat top. For wallaby round 2, the wallaby kebab, seasoned with salt, pepperberry, and local lemon myrtle.
Gentlemen, from your firearm through your processing plant to right here on our plate.
And the cook.
And the cook. Let's not forget that. This looks incredible. When you shoot animals, are you allowed to take them home for yourself?
Yeah, for myself I am. I can't actually give it away or...
You can't sell it to someone else?
No, I can't.
Do you know he's skimming off the top? Well, you must get paid per animal then.
Yeah, I do. It's pathetic, but I get it.
Right here on the skewer, we have wallaby. Now, Andrew and I have tried the wallaby salami, the smoked wallaby, the wings, but in general, it's hard to tell what the difference is between wallaby and typical old kangaroo. Is there a difference?
A huge difference, Sonny. It's much sweeter flavour and much finer texture than kangaroo.
Let's try it out.
Let's go. Dude, that is so tender.
For me, it's a little bit beefy.
Beefy.
It tastes like a really clean filet mignon with no fat, completely lean, but still tender. What do you think?
It's good. It does taste like beef, doesn't it?
Do you ever prepare wallaby yourself?
Yeah, I do. Probably not do what John does. He's got everything smooth and clean. I just rip the legs off, cut the fillets out, throw the front away, give it a bit of a hit.
Of all the animals that you hunt, what is your favorite to eat?
I'd probably shoot 1,000 deer a year and I wouldn't eat 10 grams of it.
Wow.
So that tells you one thing.
For you, is it just overexposure?
Yeah. And when you rip their guts out and you see what they eat, and you're thinking to yourself, what the hell would you eat this shit for? I'm not saying it is like that, because it's not, but I'm at the real pointy end of it and I see a lot of it.
Did I tell you? We almost got a deer last night, but he let it go. He said for humanitarian reasons.
Well, I didn't want you to get death. I wanted to let you know I was going to use the big rifle.
I was plugging my ears.
Sonny, you're not my boss.
Let's try this deer. This looks fantastic. It's the most tender deer I've ever had in my life.
Really?
This, I would think, would be from a completely different animal.
Yeah, probably totally different species.
So it's fallow deer. What you had in America was probably white-tailed deer.
That's right.
Different species, different meat.
The deer with the pear, it's like fine dining. Coming to the end of this video, we've learned so much about every part of this process. Ideally, as a business, you want demand to go up, but supply can only go up so high to meet that demand, because inevitably there's a limited supply of these animals here on the island. So what do you do about that?
That's our grand vision, Sonny. Katrina and I are both agricultural scientists, and our vision behind this industry is trying to set up an alternate paradigm for meat production in this land.
Is it possible to farm wallabies?
No, and we don't ever expect anyone to do that. It's just managing a wild population, devoting feed resources and effort to allow it to increase, and as I say, managing it to harvest them for the meat and their skins.
Scott, how do you see yourself fitting into this vision, or do you?
Yeah, I do. I would say over the last 10, 15 years, we're actually losing the race against wallaby. They're going ahead of us because by having the irrigators, the fertiliser and the improved pasture here in Tasmania now, we've got grass, green grass this high. The roo are not living in the bush where it's very restricted food. The roo come out to that green grass through the winter and they're coming through really hard. So I can go back and shoot them every day of the week, all year, next year, and the roo is still there and they're still coming through. People like John and Katrina, what they do is fantastic. I just wish there'd be a lot more that jumps on board with what we're doing. But as for me doing it, I'm getting soft. I don't want to kill animals anymore.
Yeah. A point you made, which is really fascinating, that I think most people would look at what's happening here on this island and think, oh, humans are interrupting nature. You should just leave all the wallabies and leave all these creatures alone. But what you're saying essentially is because of human activity here, the populations have actually gone up more than they would have if they were left alone.
Yeah, that's true.
So that is a fascinating perspective, and it gives even more kind of justification and purpose behind doing what both of you do. Taking these animals and turning them into something that's not like, well, we can try to salvage it. This is like 5-star quality fine dining. This is delicious food. So, gentlemen, I just want to say thank you to both of you for having us here to see how this process works and allowing us to show at least my audience something that I think few people in the world know or understand. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been great.
Did you just scoop up water from the river?
Yeah.
Now we're leaving the island of Tasmania and heading to the mainland.
We have come here to Melbourne.
This is not Melbourne.
It's not Melbourne at all.
No.
I was told Melbourne, and then we drove, and then we didn't stop driving for about...
Just a scant 3-hour drive north of Melbourne, you'll find this place, a farm where thousands of this country's largest birds are born and bred. This is the emu. Native to Australia, they can grow up to 6 feet tall and weigh well over 100 pounds.
Am I gonna get away with saying emu?
No.
How do you say it?
Emu.
Where's the ewe coming from?
You guys don't even have these creatures in your country.
No.
So, I decide.
Oh, dang it.
Andrew and I are on a mission to learn how this farm works.
Their ears are wild. It's just big holes in the back of their head.
But even more, I want to know how this bird tastes.
Is it beefy?
It's better than beef.
Oh, I cannot wait to try this out.
It all starts here.
This right here?
With this freakishly large organ.
Any guesses?
Kettlebell.
This is the emu's gizzard.
Wow. I've seen gizzards before.
Like a chicken gizzard.
They don't look like this.
This is gigantic. To find out more about the gizzard and what is inside of here, I'm bringing over Jeff. Jeff is the one running stuff here. He is the emu master.
Expert.
What's inside of here?
Lots of rocks and lots of grass and grain.
Can we cut it open and see what's inside?
The gizzard is an organ found in birds that's used for digestion. It's a specialized stomach made of thick muscular walls.
Ooh, oh, wow.
Used for grinding up food.
That's the part we eat.
When you have to chew but have no teeth.
In here?
Well, the gizzard is nature's solution.
Oh, so that was like the inner sac. It's actual giant rocks inside.
The stones and pebbles that grind the food are known as gastroliths.
When I was younger, we had a hobby farm, and the chickens, you had to buy like little pieces of gravel for them so they can eat the gravel and it helps them digest. This is not gravel. This is landscaping material. Why do I want to smell this, Andrew? It's a bit bitter. So when you cook this up, is it similar to a chicken gizzard in texture?
Honestly, I've never eaten a chicken gizzard.
Oh, really?
We're about to chow down on a giant fried gizzard for breakfast, but first it must be boiled for 2 hours, then sliced into thinner pieces. Since Jeff is new to gizzard cooking, farm manager Steve is stepping in to help. In a pan, he adds oil, first frying garlic, then the gizzard. Add some bell pepper and a pinch of salt.
Cheers. Oh yeah, good.
Top job, Steve.
Well done.
No worries.
It has some of that chicken gizzard flavor to it. There's almost like a little minerality to it, but it's on a giant scale. It's huge. It's so meaty. Sometimes the chicken gizzards can be a little bit gristly because they're smaller, and this is so much more meaty and just really dense. I love it.
Dude, that's really good. Chewy, but in a good way.
Yeah, the best kind. I'm gonna stop the interview and just eat for a little bit.
We started farming about 50 years ago in Australia. This is a family farm. I was born here. I'm actually 5th generation in the area.
And is it true that this is the biggest emu farm in the world?
Certainly in Australia, but I don't know of anything in the world bigger than this.
That's crazy. How many emu do you have here?
About 7,000 on farm at present.
Well, 6,999. When it comes to emus are a big part of Australia's history. Do you know how far they go back?
Well, believed to be about 40,000 years. Indigenous Aboriginals of Australia. That's been one of their major food sources.
The Aboriginal people were the native inhabitants of this land thousands of years ago. For them, emus were an essential food source, providing meat, eggs, and fat. Their feathers were used for tools and clothing, and their bones and tendons could be used to create weapons.
The indigenous folks used to hunt emu and cook it underground, very similar to what we saw with the kangaroo in Western Australia. It's fascinating that the preparation of this animal goes back forever.
Once Europeans arrived here, they brought over their own beef, sheep, pigs, rabbits, grains, wheat, and barley. Suddenly, emu steak was so last century. Some still eat emu today, but if this farm existed only to sell emu meat, it simply would not survive. You'll find out why soon.
We are on a mission to learn more about your farm. The gizzard here is just the beginning, but we have a lot more to try from here. I believe we're gonna start with the preparation of a neck soup.
I believe so, yes.
You know, it's like with a cow, you could make oxtail soup, but with an emu, the neck is its oxtail. Did I make that up?
No.
You don't have to go along with it just because I'm the host of the show.
Today, Andrew and I will be trying 3 different emu cuts prepared in 3 vastly different ways. Right now, we're heading to the processing facility to collect the meat ourselves. Though it turns out butchering an emu is not as straightforward as I thought.
That is the pelvis. Now I'm going to come down the edge of the bone.
Chris is the farm abattoir manager.
The rump.
Before she can display the emu's 7 major cuts,
and that is the oyster.
She's got some boning to do.
And now I'm going to take off the drum. There's 2 more drum cuts and the shank, which I'm going to take off in one piece.
Andrew,
yes.
You're wearing a hairnet for your face.
Yeah, kind of strict here, you know?
So right now we're in the boning room. Could you break this down and show us what each piece is?
We have the drum cuts, which is basically like the drumstick on a chicken. This is your oyster fillet.
Does that mean like it's part of the hip?
Yes, this is what you're having today, the fan fillet.
It looks incredibly lean.
This is the flat fillet, which you are also having. The 2 cuts that we have left are the round. The last one is the rump.
Here's what I find so fascinating. It's broken down into all these unique cuts that you've given names to. And I can't help to think that 100 or 1,000 years ago, when indigenous folks were roaming the land, they probably looked at the bird completely differently. I highly doubt indigenous folks were like, well, this is an oyster cut, this over here for jerky.
I think back in Western Australia when they first decided to look at emu farming, they spent a lot of time developing all of this. They actually registered the cuts, so they're the same as what you would call a rump steak in beef.
It's a way to make it more familiar. It's like, you know, beef rump, this is emu rump.
There's a ton of meat here. I mean, this is just 1/2 of the animal, right? How much meat comes off one emu?
Around 11, 12 kilos of actual meat.
Wow.
That said, What does emu taste like? Is it beefy?
It's better than beef.
Oh, I cannot wait to try this out.
Today we'll try the fan fillet, the flat fillet, and the part that gets tossed on most birds eaten today. I'm talking about the neck.
I've had a lot of good sheep neck, especially if you go in the Middle East or Iran, it's delicious, but it's different species there. They're thick and they're really meaty. This is a bit more lean, kind of scrawny, almost a pencil neck, one could say. But I do still see some meat in there, and of course there's gonna be tendons and connective tissue between all the bones, and so if you braise it or if you boil it long enough, that should create a delicious stock and some tender meat.
Yes, sir.
At least we're gonna find out.
We will.
With the bird's exaggerated features, this giant emu neck will be perfect for a stew. So I'm hauling it to the home of Jeff and his wife Jane. She'll know just what to do with it.
The emu we saw in the boning room was a little bit more bony, I could say, but I didn't realize how much meat there really could be around the bones. So that looks awesome.
Our emu neck stew begins by caramelizing onions, then browning the emu neck pieces. Add some chicken stock, potatoes, carrots, pumpkin, and peppers before closing the lid.
We have our emu neck that's gonna braise for a few hours, and then we're gonna come back and try it out. In the meantime, we're gonna do a tour of this farm. I want to get into the life cycle. My biggest question is, if you go from a sheep farm to an emu farm, do you start with the chick or with the egg?
We started with 2-year-old birds and then bred on from there.
How many birds did you start with?
I would have only had 10 or a dozen.
So these are all cousins?
No, I brought in.
Let's start from the beginning. These large green emu eggs take 7 weeks to hatch. Then the hatchlings require 4 more weeks to look like this.
This pen here, they're about 6 months old. We normally don't process birds till they're about 2.5-year-old.
Oh, really?
wow.
2.5?
These guys have got a long way to go.
After 9 months, the emus head out here, where they're introduced to a vast landscape to roam free.
I swear, these birds look like dinosaurs. Their ears are wild. It's just big holes in the back of their heads, like the first edition of ears. First of all, this sound, it feels like a deep roaring rumble through this big audience of emus.
So these are all 18 months old, coming into their first year of breeding, and that's their mating call.
That is a terrifying mating call. If I heard that, I would pee my pants a little bit. I would be like, hi.
These emus need 30 months to reach market weight. From here, most will head to the slaughterhouse, while a fortunate few will be moved to the breeding pens.
I'm really curious about, oh God, bit me. You're making it hard. I'm gonna actually choke you out. I'm curious about emu meat as an industry. Is emu meat something you could just find at the supermarket?
Most of the meat is sold in restaurants. It's very limited. We're only producing, say, 50 tonne of emu meat in Australia a year, but we export the oil. The oil is the whole industry.
This is emu oil. You can actually harvest more oil than meat from these fatty birds.
What country are you exporting to the most?
We send a lot to America, actually.
You guys.
I've never heard of this.
You're to blame.
Can we try some oil?
We certainly can.
All right, let's do it.
Emu oil contains high amounts of vitamin K2.
You can go first.
And it's rich in omega-3, 6, 7, and 9.
You need to chase it with a Diet Coke?
No, that's quite pleasant.
It also has anti-inflammatory properties.
Ah.
It's hypoallergenic, antibacterial, and a bunch of other stuff.
Could you pour me? Here, I got a spoon here.
Those who purchase it take it as a daily supplement.
Oh, rich, oily, but a very neutral flavor. I thought it would be funky or gamey or weird in some way, but no, it just tastes pretty neutral.
Huh, that is the oddest flavor. You're right, it's hard to describe because it's really smooth.
But you don't really take a spoon of that each day, do you?
Capsules.
Capsules, that's the way to go. So I understand most of the money in this industry is in the oil, but we're interested in the meat.
That's right.
Stop it.
Oh, dude, let's get out of here.
Yeah, and mostly we should leave.
While the emu neck cooks, there are still 2 more emu dishes to make. First, stir-fried emu flat fillet. Jeff makes a marinade from red wine, sesame oil, garlic, ginger paste, sliced onions, and honey. Slice the meat thin, then slather it and let it soak up those flavors overnight. Once ready, stir-fry on high heat for just a few minutes.
You mentioned that restaurants are frequently buying this meat off you. What kind of dishes do they do there, do you know?
I don't know, we've never been to a restaurant to find out, but ultimately buy the fan fillet and this flat fillet.
So I've never had emu meat. I have had ostrich before. I've had it twice. One time we smoked a whole ostrich and one time we cooked it underground Mayan style in Mexico. Both times it was really beefy, rich, and delicious. The emu, I have no idea about, but I can see it has that same kind of beefy looking texture.
Right, it's not what you expect from a bird, that's for sure.
lean but soft. I would say the texture does feel really beefy. What was notably different than typical beef is there was no sinew, there was no like intersection of muscle. It was just this big piece of muscle.
It's so crazy that it's such a lean bird despite the amount of like fat that's on the body.
Jane, how many times a week are you eating emu?
I'd say at least 3 or 4.
So you're not sick of it?
No, because you can cook it so many different ways.
Yeah, this is delicious. Earlier when it was being boned, Chris put some aside and she said that's for trim, which is being ground up and given to who?
Oh, that goes into pies and pasties. That's the first thing that's always sold.
Are they advertising like an emu pie, emu meat?
Oh yeah, certainly.
Oh wow.
It's starting to.
Yeah, it's starting to. This was our first taste of the meat, but we have a couple more dishes, including the emu neck soup.
Wow.
Dish number 2, oven roasted fan fillet. Simple and straightforward. Jeff rubs the meat with salt, pepper, and herbs, then tosses it into the oven to roast.
This looks amazing. It's really remarkable. I mean, I think if you brought most people here, sat them down and said, look at what this is, they'd be like, oh, beef, I guess.
Right. I mean, maybe not that.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. This is emu neck soup. It looks super fascinating. It is kind of like an oxtail, but even maybe a little bit more bony. We're gonna get into that last.
Oh.
Here, yes, very thinly sliced fan fillet.
Super lean. It looks amazing.
I think this time we can really taste the meat itself a bit more, whereas the stir fry was a little bit more sweet, had more of those Asian flavors. It's a rich flavor, but it doesn't have that rich fattiness that beef would have. So essentially, I just think it's like very lean beef.
You're right, though. You can tell it's not beef, but it's that same kind of, it's a red meat.
What do you think?
When people ask me that same question, I say it's similar to beef.
Add a little barbecue sauce on the side, very delicious.
Good, huh?
I like how the wine cuts through the... I just like it has alcohol in it. I think we should talk about this right here.
Oh my God.
It's wild because you can see like the vertebrae as they move upward, and I want to see if I can peel off some of this meat with my teeth. Cheers.
Oh, that falls off.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Really tender.
It's just all about the ratio of fat, and there's tendon and collagen all in there kind of mixed in and broken down.
There's a lot of meat on this neck. You guys don't usually do this, so what do you typically use the neck for?
In pet food,
yeah. That makes sense.
I'm blown away. That's really good.
And I think it's a good way to eat it too on the bone.
It's like more rewarding to kind of peel it off yourself. Do you think the meat will ever become viable as something people could just pick up in supermarkets? Do you think it'll ever get to that level?
Most of the meat that we're producing now is going to the restaurants already. All last year's meat is being sold mostly.
Would you welcome a big onslaught of new farmers taking on emu?
Yeah, there's room.
You think there's room in the market still?
Yep.
Yeah, it is kind of almost a novelty, you know, that it isn't a staple in supermarkets. It really would be a good thing to see if it became more commonplace.
What would it take for that to happen? It sounds like the demand is there.
No, it's going very well.
So if the demand is there, why aren't more people getting into this?
A long-term thing to get into. By the time you get an egg, it's 3 years before you get a profit. Most people can't sustain the losses and expenses to get up and running. It's taken me 30 years to get to the stage I'm at.
For you, what is your goal? What is the next step?
I want to get the product out there because I think it's a wonderful product. It has great health benefits for people. I just want to get it out there. Eventually retiring.
Jeff, Jane, this has been an incredible experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Boom, guys, that is the end of this entire Australia series. Hey, I want to say thanks to our producers for making an impossible, brutal, inhumane schedule. Thanks, guys.
That was wild, man. Some really, really cool stuff.
And I want to say a huge thank you to my man, Andrew here. Andrew?
Thank you. That was fun. I mean, I'm tired as fuck, but that was fun.
He has his own YouTube channel focusing on culture, travel, and food. So please go check out Andrew's channel right now and see what shenanigans he's up to, huh? Otherwise, until next time, a peace.